back, everybody, to another great episode of Banter on the Rocks. Today is January 26th, the last week of January. And if it's your first time here, welcome to the show. And to everyone who turns in each and every week, thank you so much for your support. Make sure to hit that follow and subscribe button so you're here for every weekly drop and daily drops as well with our small clips that we do. And on today's episode, we're going to be diving into our latest banter takes, recap of NFL playoffs, championship week, heading into the Super Bowl, the scene is set, and much more. As always, we're bringing real talk, honest reactions, and plenty of banter along the
hmm
way. And all right, let's get into it. I'm sorry, forgot to introduce me, Tim,
hmm
as well as Sean here, of course. But as we get into it, as we do every single week, kicking things off, we're going to start with our banter drink of the week, what we're sipping on, why we chose it, and how it's fueling our energy for today's episode. I was in the store this evening, saw a four-pack of Guinness and was
Okay.
like, you know what, watched a lot of Premier League football this weekend. Let's have some Guinness. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great.
Nice.
Had one can pre-show, second can, hitting perfectly.
Good. Awesome.
Good,
That's a
tasty.
good one. Yeah. This week I'm not going to alcohol. I feel like I was getting under the weather a bit, so
Uh-oh.
sipping on water. It's our kiddo's birthday on Saturday, so I gotta stay healthy. So
Heyo.
hydrating, vitamins, all that. So I'm sticking to water this episode, but I'll be back next week. Um,
Perfect.
with more. But before we get started, we'll go into we'll do this maybe like a weekly, bi-weekly segment where Tim will recap his premiership, becoming a Wolves fan now, how the week was for the Wolves and watching soccer.
Heyo. Love it. Yep, repping the away jersey. This week, Wolves took on Man City. Man City rested Holland for this match, probably for reason of playing the last place team. Give him some rest. But overall, my recap of the game, Man City really controlled the ball much of this match. They got up 2-0 pretty early in the first half. I feel like the attack that Man City was giving the defense of the Wolves, they just couldn't keep up with it. And I mentioned it last week with kind of my quick, background in studies of Wolverhampton
Mm-hmm.
and the squad that they currently have is, defense is better than, what they have on the attacking end,
hmm
as it seems. In much kind of more along to go with that in that sentiment happened this week. What else here? I took notes throughout the match. Wolves, yeah, they just lack speed against the Man City's attack. Holland rest game. Um, and the Wolves showed much more attack in the second half. Couldn't get anything going. I think in the final like few minutes of the match, they tried several strikes, couldn't get them, getting blocked, off cue. Just trying to put anything up there. But yeah, Man City just clearly has the control. They're the better squad in this match.
hmm
Hopefully, the Wolves, this is our first loss of the year so far. Hopefully, they can pull it together and try to get some type of smaller winning streak going, not
hmm
just some draws. That way, we can gain some points. We really need them. We're more than halfway through the season. We don't want to get relegated. Looking like we will, but we really
hmm
don't want that to happen, obviously. Next week is going to be against Bournemouth, and I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Bournemouth, or is
I
it
think
Bourne?
so.
Yeah. And I did watch that Bournemouth game as well. They honestly, they're a really fun team. They won up 2-0 early. I think they ended up tying 2-2, and this was all against Liverpool, another great team. And in the 95th minute of that match, they scored the game-winning goal against Liverpool. So pretty exciting team. Hopefully
hmm
the Wolves can match that excitement, and we can get, something else going. But yeah,
Yeah.
attack, attack, attack. We need to show it
Nice.
more at that end. Um, Came up 2-0, but we got this. Next, on to this week, Wolves. Let's go.
Awesome. No, that's a great take, Tim. It shows that you did get to watch it, so that's pretty
That was
cool.
great.
Glad you're enjoying it.
Yes. And hey, one other quick thing. I know you're a
Uh,
Chelsea fan, John, right?
uh,
One of your attackers, I think he's still a teenager from Brazil. Um, Herrera, I think is his name.
uh, I haven't watched as much Chelsea football this year as other years.
But I want to look him up really quick because he's worth mentioning. They played Crystal Palace and they won 3-1.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry. Esteval. He scored the first goal of the
Okay.
match for you guys.
Still well.
Um, he could possibly be the future of Premier League soccer. He is electric and he's young. A lot of people are commenting, give him more minutes.
Hmm.
And I can see why, but he looked phenomenal,
Yeah.
I will say. You're in good
Okay.
hands there.
We've always been pretty well. We've struggled. Enzo Fernandez is doing well. We have some good midfielders back, but like I say, I think it's just a year for us to continue improving. I think we're fourth in the table. Or no, we're fifth. So we're
Fifth,
not
yep.
in Champions League. We're in UEFA Cup. Um, but we'll see. Liverpool's right behind us. Fulham, Brentford. But like I say, we're striking distance from Man U. So there's still a lot of room for us to make a change. So we'll see how we do moving forward.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, good week of soccer,
Uh,
football, I should say. Um, but yeah, Wolves get them this week.
Nice. How early was the
Thank you,
game
sir.
this week?
I think it was 7
Seven.
a.m.
That's not bad.
Yep. Yep. Nope.
Okay.
No, could have been worse. Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Bad.
Could have been worse, but awesome. Good. That's Tim's weekly take on EPL and the Wolves. So, but we'll go into our banter takes. This is our hottest takes of the week. We don't prep each other for these takes. We don't compare any notes. We definitely don't pull any of the punches. We'll really give you our honest reactions in that moment, real time only. So we're gonna get into it. Tim's gonna send me my takes that I will read off and go off of. I'm gonna send Tim his takes. Um, so my first take: the best highlight of this year's NBA season has only happened by the reminiscing when the NBA was great, and and that moment is Derrick Rose's Bull jersey retirement. Yeah, that was awesome. I saw the highlights of it. And also the game, like I say, how the Bulls came back to have a game winner made it awesome. And like I say, for a guy like Derrick Rose to get his jersey retired by the Bulls, this is another of last week's episode and banter take of the what ifs. What if Derrick Rose never got that gruesome knee injury? That he was on MVP, Kobe, LeBron level type of status that he could have probably brought the Chicago Bulls the championship within a year or two of that injury. So very great moment. I saw a little clip of I think it was like Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson like showing up to meet up with him. That
Luol
was
Deng.
Luol Deng. It was really cool because like I say when you think of Derrick Rose's Bulls time, you remember the good of basketball. Kobe was around, Tim Duncan, LeBron was there, and more into the game than what he is now. And I think it's what was so great for the NBA. Really brought a lot of eyes to the NBA, and what Chicago Bulls did that game to end it off with a game winner, just full circle moment. And yeah, I think it's the most I've watched about NBA in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. See, that is the perfect synopsis right there for this take of yours, John. It gets you watching because, it's a good reminiscing moment.
Hmm.
It's a very like coming together moment. I think that a lot of NBA fans kind of needed,
Hmm.
when it comes to Derrick Rose's career, especially because there was so much, and you mentioned it, what if to
Hmm.
his career. He was so freaking electric. It seemed like he had springs on the bottom of his,
Yeah.
legs that catapulted him into the sky, and his dunks were absolutely incredible. His clutch, shots that he had, we haven't really seen Bulls playoff basketball ever since he really left, or at
Yeah.
least even close to what it was. Um, and I one quote that I saw that somebody texted on that somebody messaged on one of the videos I watched. They said Michael Jordan played for the Bulls. Derrick Rose played for Chicago. Chicago born,
Hmm.
you know, uh, player, Derrick Rose, and just I think that's so perfectly said because there was
Yeah.
a lot more to it. I'm sure he always wanted to play for Chicago, and for him to be able to go there, be as electric as he was, and then have this full circle moment with his jersey retirement, absolutely incredible. Really touching speeches. He
Hmm.
was full of tears the whole night. He had a nice moment with his son as well, because his son was
Hmm.
in tears as well. And you can just tell he's a great guy. He's, been through a lot throughout his career with the injuries and all he endured. And for him to still, have a lengthy career, but, just that electric, ability that he had when he first came into the league was, obviously dampered with,
Hmm.
those brutal injuries he had. But awesome moment. And God, it just still makes me think about how great the NBA was back when he played, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, and if you think about it, this was 15 years ago when it was like prime time, because that was his MVP season. Also being one of the youngest, I think the youngest NBA MVP at 22.
Yep.
So looking up some of his stats, that year he averaged 25 points per game, 7 assists, 7.7 assists, 4.1 rebounds, hitting about 45% of field goals, and he led the Bulls to a 62 and 20 record, which was the best in the NBA. Um, and also he finished ahead of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kobe Bryant. That's insane, because if you think about their time in 2010, 2011, that was their prime time moments as well. And this guy
Hmm.
was doing it better at 22. So his peak was really elite, and he could have done so much for the team, for the Bulls, and like you say, for the city of Chicago, doing it for his hometown. It would have been amazing, and like I said with Ken Griffey, this is another big what if, and it's also sort of, the other what if is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Because the if he would have stayed healthy, I think for sure I would say Hall of Famer, but after that injury, a lot of his stats just pummeled. He didn't do as well. Wasn't that great. It wasn't the same player because of the injury, and it's sort of unfortunate for him.
Yeah, for sure. Really after that MVP season, I'm looking at his stats as well. Not any complete season after that. I think the
Hmm.
closest he got was 66 games with the Bulls when he was 27, and that was 2015-16.
Hmm.
Outside of that, he just really didn't, we didn't have the same glimpse at,
Hmm.
Derrick Rose, that we did before.
Yeah.
Such a bummer. That's definitely,
Hmm.
it's up there with, like, Mike Trout. We talked about him last week.
Yeah.
It's just, Ken Griffey. But, obviously those two are probably on their way to a Hall of Fame career. You bring it up.
Hmm.
I just don't know if Derrick Rose really just had enough to make
Hmm.
it, in that, you know, 3 quarters left of his season. He had those 4 incredible seasons, and then, some great seasons mixed in. But just, yeah, those first four
Hmm.
years were just out of this world. Um, and those Bulls team altogether, like Joakim Noah was a ton of fun to watch.
Hmm.
There was a Kirk Heinrich sighting last night as
Oh
well. I
shit.
thought that was awesome. God, flashback in time with him. Luol Deng, was phenomenal back then. And, like you said, like those years with Kobe and LeBron, LeBron kind of teaming up, going to Miami during some of those years, like the competitiveness, of the Eastern Conference was definitely there. It's was way more competitive than what it's been the last few years here. But um incredible. Uh
Hmm.
do you feel like he in a way kind of revolutionized kind of gave us a different insight to that point guard position when he was first coming out?
Yeah, I think so. You know, because I when I look at his style, it reminds me of like a little bit of AI, but he took it to that next level. You know,
Hmm.
and you start seeing some of those type of players. I think who do I think sort of emulates that? I think John Morant sort of reminds me
Yeah.
some of his gameplay of like what Derrick Rose, but I don't think at the level of what Derrick Rose was at his peak.
Yep.
John Morant, I think it's just his immaturity sort of stops him, whereas Derrick Rose is he was never really immature. He was always professional, all about basketball. You know, I saw some things where I forget what it was, if it was a post or an article, but um where it was pretty much something saying that Derrick Rose never saw LeBron James as a friend. He always saw him as competition, you know,
Yep.
and that's how he always respected it. And then also the one thing that I remember with Derrick Rose, and it shows me how professional and he's just there to play basketball and get, you know, play that sport. The All-Star game. Remember when the East came out, LeBron was like all dancing, having fun, and Derrick Rose was just standing there like it's just an All-Star game. Like, why are you trying to
Yeah.
show off? You know, it was hilarious because it made everybody else look like a fool. Where he was just like, "All right, I'm here to play."
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to forget about it. I saw a clip too about yeah, like LeBron would try to go up and like hug him or give him a high five, and Derrick Rose is like kind of get off me
Yeah.
mentality, like, no, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to,
Hmm.
ball out, be
Yeah.
competitive. Um, yeah, and I think we all love that aspect because
Hmm.
Kobe was the same exact way. That
Yeah.
famously, I'm sure you've seen the clip, John, of Chris Rock in Kobe Bryant's ear on the
Oh
bench,
yeah.
and Kobe was just like set,
Hmm.
and couldn't be phased, but Chris was like cracking himself up.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that anybody else, that's incredibly tough to like try to live through Chris Rock,
Yeah.
saying jokes
Yeah.
nonstop. But again, it's that mentality, and Derrick Rose was certainly one to have it.
Hmm.
And I agree with the comparison of like, AI, with this crossover move, but Derrick Rose, a little bit more height, was able to be,
Hmm.
more of an incredible dunker on top of that.
Yeah.
John Morant's a great example, but again, you brought up immaturity, and I feel like the consistency that Derrick Rose was doing it in the 4 years is
Hmm.
different than, what John Morant has done.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, those years were absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's a true honor to have your jersey in the rafters,
Hmm.
with a guy like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unreal, and it's such a well-deserved night. And I'm glad that the Bulls did this for him. Not,
Hmm.
not saying he didn't deserve it, but I'm glad that they finally did it. Because again, it's like so well-deserved. And they didn't let, those brutal injuries kind of get in the way of,
Hmm.
his legacy that he brought to the
Yeah.
franchise and the city.
Yeah, yeah, he brought a lot to Chicago and to the Bulls franchise. You know, he brought that hope, and like I say, without the injury, I think he would have achieved it with that team. And you mentioned I think that's why I also like Derrick Rose. He reminds me of Kobe, that Mamba mentality. And like I said, there's only a few people that I will ever put into that Mamba mentality bracket because he wouldn't respond to that type of stuff. He's there about the game, whereas, you know, like you said, Kobe, Chris Rock chirping in his ear doesn't respond. But people like LeBron James, gonna say KD, you know, people start talking. They start complaining. They let it get to them. You know, their egos are way too big. Where, you know, Rose and Kobe, they didn't get care. They knew how great they were. They were just there to ball out and do their job, you know, win games, and that's how they shut people up. So that's what I liked about Derrick Rose as well.
For sure. And another thing that just came to mind thinking of like, just like comments or internet memes is, there's a lot of videos on like a child asking his father, "Hey, Dad,
Hmm.
what was Derrick Rose like in his 4 year run when he came out, into the league?" And like that meme of Vince McMahon going
Hmm.
like this, is one, and like like, "Don't get me started. Let me tell you about a
Hmm.
legacy player." And because it's unlike anything else. Like it's just he was so unique, and
Hmm.
his athletic ability we really hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
We saw it in spurts with other players, but
Hmm.
man, he was so unreal. Yeah, well deserved night for D Rose.
Yeah, no, well deserved night. Like I said, we'll see what the NBA is gonna do to get their ratings up, get more
Yep.
views. Because, like I say, I think this is gonna be the first big ch week that we're gonna sort of see what sports fans do when the NFL isn't playing. Because I don't know if it's one of your takes, maybe for me, but NFL All-Star Week or Pro Bowl, whatever we call it now. That's just trash. I'm sorry to say, that's just
I,
horrible. So
I thought
nobody's gonna
about
be
it.
nobody's
Glad you
gonna
brought it
be
up though.
nobody's gonna be watching it. So it's like NBA needs to step up because, like I say, what are we gonna talk about? Are we gonna talk NBA next week, or are we gonna talk about everything else but the NBA? And if that's the case, I'm thinking 70% of podcasters, sports related people, entertainment related people, they're not going to talk NBA just like we are going to talk about it. So, how can they start getting these views up? Because we love to watch sports, but like I said, for me right now, I'm going baseball, watching golf a bit, and I'm getting ready for the Olympics, Winter Olympics. So, NBA has to find a way to get me hooked, or else, it ain't going to be me.
Yeah, I said it like what maybe three weeks ago, John. Baseball has a better product than what the NBA has at the moment,
Yeah.
and I just feel like that take looks better and better each week because honestly, I might even rather watch the Waste Management Open coming up with the PGA
That's
Tour
this
in
week.
comparison. Oh, this week, see?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a fun event. The crowd is electric. We brought up the take with darts.
Yeah.
Darts has been great.
Yeah.
There's some good battles over the weekend. I'm finding much more enjoyment in soccer. Like, I think there's a lot I'd rather watch than the NBA right now,
Yeah.
especially All-Star Weekend
Yeah.
and the Pro Bowl. I'm glad you brought that up too, because Shadir Sanders being nominated
Oh
as
yeah.
for
I
a
saw
Pro
I
Bowl
saw
today
I
as
saw a
well.
little thing of that. I was like, really?
Yeah,
It's
right.
a rating push right there, trying to get people to watch because I think the ratings are already at negative before it even starts.
Absolutely. We're at the point where they should just make the Pro Bowl strictly an accolade that you add to your career and don't make an event at
Hmm.
this point. Just you were a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And like I say, get creative, find something different. But the flag
Going back a year
football.
ago, John, real quick too. Sorry. The put them all in a room and just have a roast. I don't
Eh,
know.
yeah.
That's
Try that
it.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, we'll see what the NBA, because like I said, that Derrick Rose jersey retirement, and like I said, probably just the end of the Bulls game was the most excitement and the biggest highlight of the NBA this year that we're gonna watch for a while until maybe the NBA playoffs. So
Yep.
um and then let me see. Like I have two takes for you.
Perfect.
I'm gonna send you this one first actually, because it sort of goes with what we were talking about right now.
Alrighty.
We continue with it.
All right. Got my take here. I might be crazy, but right now, Olympic sports are more entertaining than pro sports, and it's not even close. Every race, every run, every routine actually matters. There's no load management, there's no coasting. No, we'll get them next game. One mistake and you're done. The pressure, you can feel it through the screen. Absolutely. 150,000%. This take is incredibly valid because, yeah, load management, you know, regular season games early on to mid-season seem really meaningless for a
Hmm.
lot of players, and they treat it that way. And it's across all sports. It's not, NFL typically, you want to be out there
Hmm.
each and every week because it's only 16 games. But basketball, baseball sometimes, it's very relevant
Hmm.
and there's no do or die factor with it. It's what's the repercussion for Kawhi Leonard
Hmm.
load managing, playing two games, resting one, playing two games, resting one, and Embiid same way. LeBron kind of has done it here and there later in his career, tried
Hmm.
not to for a while, but it happens. Like a lot of players do it. Warriors aren't immune to it. Curry's done it, but it's stuff that there's zero repercussions to it. But the Olympics, do or die. Like you
Hmm.
worked tremendously hard to get here. We don't see all that behind the scenes stuff too.
Hmm.
What Olympians do those 4 years in between, each Olympic
Yeah.
competition, all that hard work, like they do not stop. It's outrageous the amount of time that they put
Hmm.
into it. I saw somebody, I think it was like speed biking or ice skating, and the leg workout routine that
Hmm.
they did on a daily basis was outrageous. Like the dude had just
Yeah.
quadzilla. He put Saquon Barkley to shame. It was just outrageous. And obviously you get that weight by tremendously hard work. And
Yeah.
once they get there, it's every single run matters. There's those races that you put so much time in. It's like it
Hmm.
all comes together. That's why, when you go and you finish a competition, everybody's kind of emotional. It's
Yeah.
you're crying. It's because it's not just you winning a medal because of your time that
Hmm.
week. It's those your whole life. It's those 4 years in between that you put in, and it all paid off for one moment, and it's absolutely incredible. So, it's the best. That's what makes Olympics such a great watch. And
Hmm.
right now we really need it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad it's back.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because, or it's not crazy, but it's like I think when the Olympics come, any type of Olympics, it's watched by everybody because it reminds us of the playoffs, basketball, playoff football, playoff baseball. Because, like I said, there's no load management. That pressure is what we like to look at, and like I say, I think that's why also the NFL is always gonna be successful because 17 games, they're pretty much fighting for playoffs from day one. It's not 82 games, it's not 100 plus games like baseball. Hockey, same thing. I think they're like at 80, 70 something games. Soccer also. But it's like you have to play to make it into the playoffs because if you lose 3 games, you're already fighting a downhill battle or an uphill battle. So
Mhm.
that's what makes Olympics so well. And also, you touched on it. In Olympics, you have to train year round. I don't really think Olympic athletes that are really into this and doing this for their 8, 12 years before they retire from Olympic sports, they take breaks because you have to be top notch because if you make one mistake, you're done. That 1 millisecond in the speed skating race, that could drop you from like medal contention to bottom of the, bottom places. So that's why I've really enjoyed watching some of these Olympic qualifying right now. Winter Olympics right now are heating up. There's a lot of, those people qualifying for their countries. And just starting to see that is so great. So, Olympics, like I say, I think it's going to be the more entertainment thing. And I sort of touched on it before our last topic. I'd rather watch Olympics than basketball, even though I'm a big basketball fan. Like I say, people would call me like I'm a fake fan, but like, dude, we played in our prime, what, like 6 years after work, almost 3 days a week with our buddies. You can't say we're not basketball fans. We love to play basketball. A little different now that we're older. Like I think I've mentioned it here. One large jump, I'm tearing 10 ACLs in one leg. I don't know if I could risk that type of being out of commission for my family. So it's a little different what I do now. But yeah, it's Olympics. And I think just the playoff type implications is what makes sports so great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like the Olympics always introduces us to not only new athletes that
Hmm.
are competing, but also just like sports we didn't know existed or
Hmm.
sports we forgot about.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot because we're incredibly entertained by it. But the biathlon, we've talked about back-to-back
Hmm.
weeks. That's a super fun one that you kind of forget about. Curling doesn't get enough justice.
Yeah.
Like you can have a beer belly and a mustache and be elite. It's absolutely incredible. Figure skating is a ton of
Hmm.
fun to watch. Um, cross country skiing, it's just like you in a way, like in those competitions, I like to kind of be like, man, like if if I'm in that person's
Hmm.
spot right now, I am gassed. Like
Hmm.
I'm not surviving yet. Their heart rate's probably low
Hmm.
and they can go for like several more hours at the rate
Yeah.
of speed that they're going. Like it's just incredible, the athletes that they are. But yeah, great times having this come
Hmm.
about. Summer Olympics are just as fun, but winter, again, we only get them every 4 years. So when we
Yeah.
get it, it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. The top 10, or is this the list of 10? Seven, then some sneaky underrated, but the top Winter Olympic sports that I think a lot of us will be watching. Number one, and it's one that I've always like to watch, snowboarding. So the half
Oh yeah.
style slope, just the big air, some of the moves they do, and like this is one where you have to be perfect and on it, because you make one mistake, you're pretty much done. Your score just goes down. And if
Mhm.
you fall really badly and you get hurt some way, you might not be able to get up to even do your second run. So, this sort of says it's the NBA dunk contest where, if it mattered, if the
Oh
NBA
yeah.
dunk contest really mattered, that'd be snowboarding. How the same intensity that we feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you grow up playing SSX Tricky, the
Oh
video
yeah,
game?
yeah,
Dude, yeah. That was like the only way I could like connect to it in real
yeah,
life was like
yeah,
that's the only time I could
yeah,
ever try to like
yeah,
imagine myself doing a trick like that.
yeah.
But yeah, in the we grew up with Shaun White, but somebody also entertaining watches is Chloe Kim. She's
Hmm.
really, really good snowboarder.
Yeah,
That's a ton of fun. Can't forget about hockey.
yeah,
Hockey's going to be awesome.
yeah. That's
Are
number two.
It's number two. Are we
Yeah.
getting quick question about it though? Are we
Uh-huh.
getting like all the top NHL players participating, or is the season interrupted? Are we getting like college athletes, or do you know how
Um,
that works?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they do like soccer World Cup, where it's like, because I know Summer Olympics soccer World Cup comes up. It's usually like the U18. So
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the same. I'm looking it up.
Well, I see Matthew Kachuk. I see um, Austin Matthews are participating. Connor McDavid's playing
Hmm.
for Canada. So yeah, I guess we are going to get
Yeah,
the full
it
fledged.
it seems like they really are. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
it's so
and,
good.
and what I think is great about it is because like this is like the ice hockey World Cup. Where, Summer Olympics has soccer, but the World Cup is totally different. I think this is the hockey World Cup because they don't have they probably don't have a big enough following to do something like the World Cup worldwide. And like I
Hmm.
say, I think ice hockey, it's always going to be USA versus Canada, but Russia, some of these other countries are always there. And I think what's so great about hockey, it in the Olympics, it's everybody's full force. It's almost like the
Hmm.
Nations Cup or whatever it was that we did this year for the All-Star game. Um, it just felt like game sevens every night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude, it was absolutely incredible. Um, that was yeah,
Yeah,
competitive hockey.
yeah. So
Can't beat it.
hockey is two. Number three, figure skating. You mentioned it. I think we all watch it, even though we don't know much about it or even how they score it. But just some of the moves and how they
Hmm.
integrate music into it. It's so entertaining. Honestly, you have to give it up to them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, and if you have Will Ferrell making a movie about it,
Yeah.
it's gotten popular. Uh who was it? Was it is it Christy Yamaguchi? Who was the name of the gal who world famous figure skater? I think she's from the Bay Area if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um I have to look her up, but I remember she was like so relevant like when
Hmm.
I was when we were both, we were
Yeah.
around the same age growing up, and she was just incredible in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I gotta
There,
look her up.
there, there's a lot. I remember Kristen Yamaguchi. I remember that name a lot. Michelle Kwan's one that I think I hear a
Yeah, Christy
lot.
Yamaguchi, that is her
Kristen
name. Yep.
Yamaguchi. Yeah. Yeah. And then even like back in the day with Tanya Harding, all the controversy with figure skating. Like I said, there's so much with
Oh
figure
yeah.
skating and how intense it is and how competitive it is. It's like You could probably do a TV series of like you know how they have dance moms, like figure skating moms, because
Oh,
I bet you it's
yeah,
just as intense.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, same thing, but on ice, you know?
Yeah,
Sorry, Chris Yamaguchi is, a famous figure skater. I'm thinking Michelle Kwan.
Michelle Kwan. Yeah,
Yeah, she was a legend.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a great competition.
yeah.
All those spins. How are you not dizzy?
I don't know. I
I
don't.
can't
Two,
fathom.
two spins, I'm already done.
Easily. Because, us having kiddos, we got to spin every once in a while.
Oh yeah,
And it's,
yeah.
yeah, three and I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right,
We
your
go to
turn.
this park in Ojai, Libby Park, and they have
Okay.
this big like it's not a merry-go-round, but like you stand on it and like Keanu wanted to get on it once and I was like, okay, I'll go on it with you. Some of these kids were spinning that so hard, like two spins in, I was like,
Yeah,
I'm done. I was
yeah.
holding
Where's the
it,
brakes?
but I'm like holding it. I'm like, I can't let go of him. But
Yeah.
once it like stopped, I was like, better take it. But I was like, I had to take like good 5 minutes just to get myself back into alignment because I was done.
Oh yeah. No, we went to Disneyland recently,
Oh yeah.
went on teacups,
Uh,
and tried to, of course we're gonna spin it as fast as we can. I was tapped for a bit. Like I think I needed like 30 minutes of just
Yep.
settle down time. Um
Yeah.
yeah, as you get older, but again,
Yeah.
speaks to like,
Yeah.
I mean,
The
those spins are quick,
yeah.
they're agile, and then to continue on with your routine,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. The number four watch sport, bobsled, luge, and the skeleton run. So that's just
Makes
pure
sense.
speed. Like I said, that one's like crazy. But you know, the Jamaican bobsled team was I think who we're going to be rooting for. But
Yep.
just how crazy it is because if you see how heavy that luge or whatever you call it, that thing tips over and you're not on it. That shit could crush you, man. And it's scary, but
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like you must be like it's probably like real racing.
Yeah. In those competitions, the camera even has trouble keeping up with them.
Yeah,
And then the tunnels, those always freak me out, dude.
yeah,
Like the first person and you're seeing the tunnel, it's like,
yeah,
dude, it's a shark. The
yeah.
hell?
Yeah. If I was on a team, I'd have to be in the back and just looking down and just praying to God the whole time. Like, okay,
Yeah, just
okay, get
let
me
your
out
head
of this.
bobble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's all
Yeah,
I
it's
would
same
do.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the anchor role.
Yep. Number five, alpine skiing. So this is downhill and super G. It says it's the fastest sport in the Olympics. So this is the one I think where it's like you make one mistake, the wipeouts are like horrible. So,
Okay.
and like I say,
Yeah.
I don't think we ever pray or wish to see wipeouts, but when we see it, it gets intense and it's sort of like wow.
Well, the amount of snow that kicks up with it, like the effects with it,
Yeah.
man, it could appear much worse than it even is.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, it's always like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, are you good?
Yeah. Yeah, so and then six is speed skating. I think that's always a good one because I always like how they're like in unison and sort of helping each other out, but like towards the end, they're like you can see them like elbowing, trying to take one
Yeah.
another out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's another very fun one. That's, again, the quads, the strides, the
Yeah,
strategy with it. Yeah,
yeah,
another great one to watch.
yeah. Number seven, curling. Yes, of
Mhm.
course, curling is going to be must watch ever since they
Yep.
introduced it to the world. And then some sneaky underrated ones. One of them is the one you mentioned, the biathlon, skiing and shooting under pressure. Like I said, that's just under
Mhm.
pressure. You got to be quick and accurate. So that's always good. Freestyle skiing, um, that that one will be good. And then the last
Mhm.
one they said women's hockey.
Yeah.
That's probably also, like I say, it's the Olympics or it's the World Cup for women.
Perfect. Yep. No, it's going to be awesome as well. Good competition on with ladies hockey as well.
Yeah.
The one thing, so I was looking at some of the athletes here in
Hmm.
shout out Lindsey Vaughn, still
Yeah.
competing.
Okay.
Incredible,
Hmm.
incredible career for her. But I'm looking at like so she'll be doing some training alpine skiing, and
Hmm.
again, this is training that you can watch, but her training is taking place 2:30 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
These hours, you got to be up. To be up at all hours for this.
Yeah.
Unless you want some replays later in the day.
Yeah.
But Olympics, again, every 4 years, worth it.
Yeah.
Sacrifice some sleep.
Yeah, no, yeah. Kudos to her for coming back after I think she had a bad knee injury that took a while for her to get healthy again. So
Yeah,
that's good for her. Yeah, and who knows,
absolutely.
this could be her last one, so we'll see what she does. Cause that's the other cool thing I think I like about the Olympics. You always see the newbies, like you mentioned, those new names that we see come up, and they're all like 18, 16-year-old stars where you still have the veterans like Lindsey Vonn, Shaun White, who now are in their late 30s, going on to 40s, and still competing and still able to compete, which is great to see.
Hmm. Absolutely. And then, another fun thing I like to do with some of these competitions is obviously there's very unique names across the world,
Yeah.
but it's always fun to like watch a type of like sport, or competition and be like, that is the perfect alpine skiing
Hmm.
name right there. And it
Yeah.
could be like, Slopey Terrain is his name or something. Like it'd be like, yeah, nailed it on the name. He was meant to do that. She was meant to do so, it's I like to do that. Just, being
Yeah.
just watching names. It's
Yeah.
it's good stuff. Like this person's
Yeah.
name, Red Gerard, snowboarding.
Okay.
Great name.
That's
Red.
yeah. It could be
Yeah.
someone like Hingle McClingerberry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Maybe, some ideas, thought provoking, for
Yeah.
future videos.
Yeah. No, that's good. But yeah, that's your take, Olympics will be more entertaining as a pro sport than some of these pro sports.
Yep.
But yeah, and then I think you only had one take, right, Tim? Or
Um, yeah, we'll leave it there. The other one
okay,
I think we'll catch up to later.
okay. And I'll send you this last one because I think this one could be a good talking point.
Perfect. All right. Let's call it what it is. This feels like nepotism at work. Jaden Smith is undeniably a huge hit with the youth, and brands are obsessed with that right now. But here's the disconnect. The kids who love Jaden aren't the ones buying Christian Louboutin. Their parents are, and most parents aren't dropping four figures on shoes because their teenagers think they're cool. Luxury keeps chasing youth culture while pricing out the very audience that it's trying to impress. So the question isn't whether Jaden can move culture, it's whether he can move product. Exactly. Yeah. And it's a there it's that age group is kind of easy yet difficult to sell to. And
Yeah.
and the reason why is, I mean, just genetic makeup and history. Like everybody grows, everybody, just grows out of clothing, shoes,
Hmm.
you name it. I was one growing up, and my mom brings it up to this day that, I've always had a bigger foot size, and my
Hmm.
foot grew like a weed early on in
Yeah.
life, like faster than I grew in height, uh, that kind of came later. But like, shoes I would always want because I played, basketball, for
Hmm.
example. I love T-Max shoes. I,
Oh
I
yeah,
love
those are
Tracy
good.
McGrady shoes. Those are badass, and I had the red ones, I had the blue ones, had his black ones as well,
Yeah.
in different seasons. But it was, like I would have them for a year, and then like towards the end of the season, they were already super snug, kind of got uncomfortable, and my
Hmm.
mom's like, and my dad, same thing, like, oh, we just spent, $80 at the time on it. And it's like, man, you're already growing out of them. Like, man, we just need to get you cheaper shoes and then, kind of go from there. But,
Yep.
they always put up with it. And I feel like that can play a lot in part of like the parents, obviously adults, you're fully grown. And then, parents are working for that money, obviously providing to their kids. But when you're buying expensive, bougie type design, or clothing, or handbags, whatever, it's typically for one parent to another,
Yeah.
and not so much for the kids, unless you're looking for, you're ultra wealthy and could buy Louis Vuitton bags for everybody to travel
Hmm.
with. But again, like, those designs, it's nearly impossible for the everyday kid to kind of keep up with the trends that, for example, Jaden Smith is wearing. It's like
Hmm.
you have to find cheaper alternatives in order to keep up with it. And again, like it's going to be tough for him to push a brand because me, for example, I'm probably quite a bit older than Jaden Smith. I don't know Jaden Smith's exact age, but I'm pretty sure he's like what, in
Hmm.
his low 20s right now, or
Yeah.
maybe even teenager-ish. I'm not too sure now.
Hmm.
But again, like I'm not going to connect my clothing to his, and I think that could be true for quite a few people. But again, like if you're more prone to buy designer items, you're going to be an adult versus
Hmm.
a child because yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah,
That's
no,
where the connect comes from.
it's going to be expensive, and I think with this take, it's that disconnect of, um, you know, what Jaden Smith is doing is great because it's someone starting in the industry, but like I'm curious, I see it as nepotism at its finest because
Mhm.
what has Jaden Smith done to sort of earn to because he is the creative director of the men's line for Louis Vuitton for Christian Louis Vuitton. Eh, and you see a lot of his pictures with other celebrities. He has some outrageous fits, but like my question with those fits are like, did you create them yourself? Did you get styled with them? What are you doing? And like I say, I think what some of these designers are doing is they're trying to find someone that relates to the younger youth. But like you say, who's really buying it? And who's really dropping four figures for their kids unless you're in that 1% of millionaires? Because the normal
Mhm.
everyday person isn't going to be buying. If you looked at some of the shoes, a $4,000 to $5,000 pair of shoes that has holes in it that look ridiculous to me. Some like I say, I've looked at his line. I looked at it. I've liked some of it. A lot of it I don't like. I'm not a fan of. But like I say, you could say my fashion's a little different, but I just think this is like nepotism at its best. No youth. It's not going to be successful because, like I say, they're not going to make money. All the old heads that are in this 1% population aren't going to be buying his furry red. I call them Elmo shoes because they look like Elmo, by the
I was
color.
just, I have it pulled up right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh
you,
my,
you, you
dude,
see
they call
those?
that camouflage? What are you camouflaging into? Hot lava?
I
Good
don't know.
God.
I know you gotta have the red bottoms, but the red Elmo,
Sesame
like,
Street? Is that where you're
yeah,
camouflaging?
yeah. And think about it, like how many or how many millionaires, wealthy people are actually gonna buy that now? All these top influencers that have the millions, billions, of course they're gonna buy it because it's Jaden Smith. That's who they connect to, that's who they relate to. But like I say, for some of these shoes, for me, they just don't do it. And I'm just like, why was it Jaden Smith? Why was he given this opportunity when honestly I think there are so many other up and coming designers that have been in this game for so long. Jaden Smith tried to be an actor. Jaden Smith tried to be a musical person. Now, creative director. How do you get there so fast when, if you look at his other two endeavors, he failed at them, you could sort of say. You know,
Hmm.
the next Karate Kid probably was his best, movie, and it still was not that great of a movie for some people.
Hmm.
So why is he doing this where others have started from the bottom up and have shown that they've been doing fashion? I don't think Jaden has had any type of fashion line before this, but like I said, I have to look into it a little more. But I saw it and I was just like, it just doesn't sit well with me, but I get why they're doing it because like there's a lot of youth that when they hear Jaden Smith, they relate to him, they like him. But like I say, is it gonna move the money that this company thinks? I don't think it will, because like I say, I don't see you know the CEO of Microsoft buying some of these shoes because they just don't really fit his style.
Hmm. Yeah. No, it's the only so obviously we all see Jaden Smith in the tabloids,
Hmm.
paparazzi following him around. the biggest thing you can say about his style is just unique.
Hmm.
Um, a lo 99.9% of it, I could never see myself wearing it.
Hmm.
Um, Different stature for me, of course.
Yeah.
It's just I could never pull it off. In he most of the time, of course can. It's very unique, but looking at some of this stuff, like, like I could see, I think the only thing in his collection, maybe these white sneakers, I could possibly
The
see,
the the ones that
you
look
know.
like real sneakers, you know.
Correct. And
Yeah.
then, I know that those dandelion pearl, those
Yeah.
loafers,
Yeah.
that's kind of a popular look nowadays, like
Hmm.
having like like all of the pearls sticking out. Like
Hmm.
I've seen other shoes kind of like that.
Yeah.
Um, but like even the red ones, like the end to those, very unique, I guess.
Yeah.
But the red tactical camouflage boot, like just that's just hilarious. Um, yeah, and I was gonna ask you because this kind of sparked something, I guess this Trapman boot I could see
Mhm.
as well. That kind of looks more like a Tim.
Yeah.
Um, but with a lot of this, and you can think to other brands like what's the other brand that kind of has just a very out there vibe, like just really random? I can't think of them right now. I
Louis
had it in my
V.
head a second. No,
No. 'Cause
let me effort on this for a second because I want to hit home on this. What was it? Wasn't that? No, no, no.
Is it a shoe? Or were they doing shoes or just clothing?
Balenciaga.
A
Balenciaga.
Balenciaga. Yeah.
So like Balenciaga has had some stuff like that's just it looks like paper mache t-shirt. It's just like what is this? Who's
Hmm.
buying that?
Yeah.
And to an extent, do you feel like some of this is a social experiment?
I think some of it is. I think some of it's just sort of trying to see how far they could go and how much they could get. But yeah, like Balenciaga, I've seen some of their stuff because like if you look behind me, like I like designer stuff. I have the Travis Scott Jordans, those are popular ones. I have the Nike the off-white ones. I have two pairs of off-whites.
Hmm.
And like I say, I've gotten lucky to get them on raffles. These are the only ones I've gotten on raffles. After that, if I want to get them, I have to pay to what 10 times what they normally are. But like I said, what I like about like Off-White with collaboration with like Nike when they were coming out, they were only priced at like $300 to $400, a lot more affordable than four bands, or more,
Hmm.
in those four digits. Same with Travis Scott's. Those I think when you buy them, they're like 280, retail. Now, if you get them and if you don't get them and you want to buy them, you got to buy them at like 2 to 3K, depending on the style, how popular it is. Whereas these, you just have to be paying 4K, and like I think is a social experiment of are people actually going to pay for this? And like I say, and if like what they're doing right now with Jaden Smith is a social experiment, and if celebrities could do it, like I say, if Jaden Smith is successful, you're gonna see so many more celebrities come do this with these big name brands. If he isn't
Hmm.
successful, he's gonna be another laughing stock again in a different endeavor, and nobody else is gonna try to do it, or nobody else is gonna pay another celebrity to do it. Jaden
Hmm.
Smith is gonna have to try to sell his own brand and do his own thing and come up from the bottom up just to be successful in the future.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like just his relevance in what he's worn over the past, in I guess having two, ultra
Hmm.
famous parents, the affordability level of having high-end designer brands or maybe
Hmm.
creating his own clothing in the past has been something that, has kind of plopped him, into a position like this. And he's a big name. He's
Hmm.
marketable with anything designer, I suppose. But, it just seems like that's the only way that I feel like he could, I guess, kind of catapult himself into a position like this because like you mentioned, there's other folks who, maybe went to a very prestigious college,
Hmm.
university to, in design and then has made numerous things and still hasn't been able to get into a position, quite on the level as what, Jaden Smith has with
Hmm.
Christian Louis Vuitton. Um, so, but yeah, and it could be one of those things that maybe he'll hit home on one of these. Maybe those red, maybe we're talking and we don't know what the hell we're talking about, John.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
those
we
red
might be.
camouflage boots are badass.
Maybe they are.
It's just, but maybe this is unk talk. I don't know,
Yeah, it
it's
could be.
because
Like,
who made those red boots that came out like 3 years ago? The ones that look like it should be in a cartoon. Remember those?
yeah. Uh, I always saw them because they made him in red. They made him Mischief, the Mischief boots.
Mischief. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like I know that those were kind of like a laughing thing, but I feel like a lot of people ended up kind
yeah,
of buying those.
yeah. But think about it. Those were more affordable.
Mm,
I think sticker price for those were 200 to 300 bucks,
you're
probably
right.
retail.
Yeah.
To buy them now, you probably got to pay close to 1 to 2K. StockX has one, the Crocs, the yellow Croc ones, at $1,000. And that's just
Wow.
starting bid. So,
Ooh.
but like I said, look at Louis, but what Jaden Smith is doing, you're already gonna have to pay for 4K maybe just to get the shoes compared to these Mischief. $300 to $400, it's a lot more affordable for these celebrities to sort of feel comfortable, and even those that are in a higher tax bracket
Hmm.
to sort of buy these shoes, because like I say, the ones Jaden Smith are creating, you're not going to buy them for your kids unless you are some of the top 1%ers and your kid really wants them. You're just gonna be like, whatever, this is pocket change to me. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I remember the Mischief boots. I always saw them. It reminds me of Astro Boy. Is the character?
That was it. Astro Boy. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly it.
yeah,
Um, I'm trying to look into Christian Louboutin's statement here in quotes regarding, I guess, the hiring
yeah.
of Jaden Smith, and they're saying, when I first met Jaden, I saw him in a natural fit for the Mason, and his world is rich and multidimensional. Um, I feel like he has a creative direction for our men's collection in an exciting and dynamic way. Um, they also said like I guess his philosophy and like his experience in music performance and activism will help, a lot of the brand of what he's going to create with Christian Louis Vuitton. I mean, it seems like they, you know,
Hmm.
spent some time, thinking about this hire and what it could mean to the
Yeah.
company. And then the final picture has him wearing those camouflage boots. He's wearing what looks to be normal, no, normal shorts, but then he's wearing football pads
Uh,
on top of that. Yeah, again, like I said, unique. But what this whole, kind of take comes down to is the relatability to
mm,
the everyday person or somebody who can even afford those red boots. Like, how marketable are those compared to maybe
mm,
some of his other things or,
yeah,
what other, I guess, renditions of, high heels or boots
yeah,
or loafers that Christian Louis Vuitton has been selling for years, you know.
yeah,
We'll see. But maybe this is just the start for him and let's see. I guess the biggest place to check, John, is going to be the red carpet.
yeah, yeah. We'll see what the red carpet is. Like I say, I know in the fashion world. And like I say, we're not. I'm not gonna say I'm a big fashion person. I think I know a little bit about it. I've looked into it, but I can't. I'm not gonna comment as much into it. But I'm curious if anybody will come say anything about his styles. I think a lot of people in that fashion world are so just keeping stuff to themselves and just building off of what they do. So
Hmm.
I don't think we'll ever hear negatives about it. But like I say, it's sort of like if he doesn't get a signing after this, or he sort of gets dropped, shows that he was successful. Shows that his creative mind isn't there. Um, but yeah, like I say, very stylish. What he wears is unique. It is trend setting for some people. But like I say, how many people could pull off that look? If you're not Travis Scott, you're not like this famous celebrity, famous football player. The normal everyday people, you go to high school like that, you're gonna get bullied and people are just gonna make fun of you. Hate to say it. They're not gonna think you're cool
Hmm.
because you look like Jada Smith. They're gonna mock you and just tease you like no other. I hate to say it.
Yeah, that's just how school is.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that he's very consistent with
Mhm.
his unique style.
Oh
He
yeah.
hasn't strayed away from it. He's kept it up for years now. And it's pretty admirable. He's
Hmm.
confident in it. So he truly believes what, is behind his mind and his work. I guess we'll see what unravels with it. But again, um, yeah, it's just the marketability of Christian Louboutin, no matter what you're buying from there, it's going to be expensive as
Hmm.
hell. But the product that you're going to get is, very high end, well put together. Um,
Yeah.
you see red bottoms, it's
Yeah.
red bottoms to the shoes. It's something, you know,
Yeah. But
it's
well,
design.
if you see red fur boots, you think Elmo just got murdered or something. That's the one concern.
It's a
But
great fit for Sesame Street.
imagine what kids at Elmo fans, parents are gonna. How are you gonna explain that to your kid? Like, why is Elmo on this guy's feet, Daddy? Like, oh, I don't know. He must have kicked the shit out of him. Got stuck
Yeah.
on his shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, the fur looks just like, something that Elmo has. So,
Yeah.
too funny. Didn't
Yeah.
know this
So,
though. Didn't know
yeah.
this though.
Yes. I saw, I think I saw it yesterday and I was reading into it. And like I say, people compare it to Virgil with Off-White, but I'm like, what Virgil did was so different because he started off from nothing, you know. Uh, even before he became a designer, he was a civil engineer, going into school, and the only reason he got into design is because he was making t-shirts. He was sort of hustling, doing podcasts, doing a lot of stuff, and then he went into internship at Fendi, and if you know Fendi, Fendi's a big popular brand as well, and
Oh yeah.
so that's how he got his start, bottom up. You can't call it nepotism. You could call it support because I think what really pushed him to the next level to do Off-White and sort of collaborate with Nike, Jimmy Choo, Louis Vuitton, because he was the first black artistic creative director for the menswear for Louis Vuitton,
Oh wow.
LV, in 2018. I think it was him partnering with Kanye because I think Kanye and him went to like school together, were in the fashion, game, and I think Kanye saw him and sort of made him creator of his Donda agency and marketing. So, like I say, he started from the bottom up, has a lot of reputation in designing clothes, being a designer. Whereas, like I say, I think the one thing which I call nepotism with Jaden Smith is I haven't seen him, and like I said, I might just be out of the game, and he might have three different design companies out there that I just don't know about. But where is the proof that he has been successful in designing? I haven't seen
Mhm.
it. This is a big risk for Christian Louis Vuitton, but it could be a home run, but it could be three strikes and he's out. And then to get into the fashion industry again, it's going to be a hard climb.
Absolutely. Yeah, dude, maybe at a certain point too, it's like, Christian Louis Vuitton, let's just say it doesn't work out.
Hmm.
It's Christian Louis Vuitton in the future is going to be like, nah, we tried the celebrity thing, it didn't work.
Hmm.
We're going to move on to a different style and go back to, just our normal creative minds,
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how it plays out though. I mean, yeah, it could be, a dead block, for future, I guess, celebrity Nepo possibilities.
Yeah, like I said, you're just gonna have to sort of wait to sort of see what comes out of this, what he's done, and if it's successful. Because like I say, I think one person, I don't know if you've seen, that's going into fashion, which I'm curious about, just because we follow him a bit, Kai
Mhm.
Cenat.
Oh, did
So
not see that.
yeah, he sort of has taken the break from streaming and just that piece and wants to go into his passion of creating a clothing line. So, but I think
Oh.
what he's sort of doing is like he might be getting support, but he's creating his own clothing line, and it's sort of like if that succeeds and does well, gets money, like he will be able to then start collaborating with like Louis V, Prada, Gucci, those type
Mhm.
of things and build a brand, and then you could be one of the biggest brands in fashion because
Right.
what one person I remember, and this is shout out to House of Gucci the movie because
Mhm.
this is where I got it from, like Tom Ford. If you know Tom Ford in fashion, big fashion,
Oh yeah.
he has a lot of great fashion, but he got to start with Gucci, creating a line for
Oh,
Gucci. It says it in the movie, and that's how he sort of got his name into that fashion world. So, like I say, Jaden Smith, I haven't heard much or seen much that he's done something like that, slowly building it up in fashion. So, like I said, this is nepotism at its best and at its finest. Will Smith. But we'll see. Like I say, I could be totally wrong. I'll take back this take. Give him his flowers. Give the Smith family their flowers for doing an amazing job and proving me wrong. But till I get proven wrong, it is what I'm going to feel about this take.
yeah, absolutely. No, super valid. Final thing for me on the off-white shoes.
Yeah,
Um, big fan of those is Mike McDaniel,
yeah,
new offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Every game.
yeah, yeah. Every game he had a pair. Yeah,
Yep,
they're stylish and like I said, they're just more affordable if
they
you get
are.
them sticker price. And even like buying them on StockX, you got to pay $1,000, $2,000, but still more affordable than some of these other high end brands. And like I say, I think the everyday people get them a lot better.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can wear
Yeah.
your sweatpants khaki style with them,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah,
acceptable.
you can.
It works.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are our banter takes. Let us know what you guys think of these takes. Agree or disagree. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We always want to hear where you guys stand. But we'll go into the NFL and we'll look at conference championship week this week. We'll go over the two games. First game, Patriots versus Bronco. This was a noon game. Patriots winning 10-7. My few takes. Kudos to the Patriots for winning. Family very happy. They're excited for another Super Bowl. I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna create a meme or a video because I don't know if Vera does. Vera recorded herself crying at the end when they won, but I also recorded her on the outs like from a different angle, and I
Mhm.
wanted to do sort of like the Breaking Bad, meme where he's like, "Why?" or what is it? Why do you keep on doing this? Why does it continue happening? Because it's like
Mhm.
another year, Patriots. Like, why is it happening? How is it happening?
Mhm.
Like, I thought we were out of this era, and it looks like we're just back at it. But win for them. I would say you could call it an ugly win, but that is the game of football. That's the game of playing in an outdoor stadium. Uh, Crazy to see how the field went from very green and clear to a snowstorm, at
Oh
halftime.
yeah. Yeah, shoveling it. Yeah, no, it was crazy, what the field turned into, a little winter wonderland there.
Yeah.
Um, you might have to wear some knight's armor for this possible video idea for you, John. But you should try a rendition of what not to say to a Patriots fan during the Super Bowl. And just like a little comment here and there, like, ooh, would have been better with Brady would have made that throw or something, you know? It's just
Brady wouldn't have missed that, or
right.
Gronk would have caught that one.
Yeah. Rabel the player, better than the coach.
Eh.
You know, just wish you would have had Belichick right now.
Yeah.
Just like little things like that. But again, you'd probably have to like, have a shield,
Yeah.
like be able to take things thrown at you. But yeah, going back to the game, um, yeah, Patriots defense pretty underrated, I feel like. They've
Hmm.
been great all
Yeah.
year, kind of proved to be that way again. Denver kind of had the Patriots exactly where they wanted them in this matchup too, and they just
Hmm.
could not capitalize on it. I think the Stidham fumbles, was a bummer. Sean Payton had some questionable play calling here and there. Patriots did what they had to do, was able to, kind of seal the deal by 3 points. But Drake May kind of had to show it with his legs a lot more this game.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, overall, I don't think I saw it being this close, to be honest with you. I didn't know what was really going to turn out with Stidham, but Stidham, what was the first drive he had? He threw that deep
Yeah.
bomb to Mims.
Hmm.
You looked really solid off the bat. His
Hmm.
family, his daughter seemed thrilled for him. She was, I think,
Yeah.
in tears. It was a very nice moment. But yeah, just kind of couldn't get it going.
Hmm.
That meme would have been great though if the Patriots can't handle backup QBs in the
Oh,
playoffs.
that would have been
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
it would
Yeah,
have been.
no, I gotta watch what I say. Bears on the live right now, but
Uh-oh.
but Patriots did well. Like I say, their defense. I'm surprised at their defense. Their defense kept them in this game. I think
Mhm.
their offense struggled in the first half. They got lucky with that backward pass. I think that helped them really take the lead.
Mhm.
But I also think, like I say, second half weather just sucked for both teams because both teams
Mm.
struggled to get anything completed. And that's why it was just such a low scoring game, 10-7. But Stidham did well. I think first two drives, I think, is where we saw a lot from him, and then the Patriots figured out how to stop him. Um, Kudos to the Broncos defense. They played amazingly. But the one or the one thing I've heard a lot of people saying, and like I said, I'm not trying to defend the Patriots because it is a family affair with me, but a lot of people saying they had the easiest schedule to get to the playoffs, regular season, and then the playoffs they've dealt with like easy quarterbacks. But yeah, they've had easy quarterbacks, but defenses, they've played the top four defenses in 3 games. And they're going
Mhm.
against Seattle next, which is another top defense. Patriots win the Super Bowl, you got to give them their flowers because these defenses are not to mess with.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think
Mm,
RG3 had similar sentiment saying that this
mm,
is one of the best playoff runs, right, in
mhm.
in history. And I don't think that was satire, from what I
Yeah.
know. I think it was pretty legit. Yeah, they definitely during the regular season they took advantage of their schedule as they should have. Any team
Hmm.
should have.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. It's the
Yeah.
schedule they were given that was pre-planned. And then they've proven all the haters wrong, throughout the playoffs. They've won, like you said,
Yeah.
Texas defense is no joke. Like the Texas defense was top dog all year long, like just incredible.
Hmm.
They're going to be really good for years to come. Denver, another one, absolutely incredible defense. They've held it down for
Hmm.
them much throughout the year. But yeah, they've been able to go through it thick and thin.
Hmm.
One other thing that I really enjoy Matt Collins, his entries, his barefootedness. He's just himself, and I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. But heading into the game, I don't know if you saw, he had the beer bottles,
Yeah.
and
The
with the
the the
pictures of
Warrior. Yeah.
Warriors come out to play, yay!
Yeah.
And it's so good. It was a great entry to the game. I think it lightened the mood, I'm sure, in the locker room.
Hmm.
Two catches, one big one. Led the team in receiving. Um, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Broncos, go get yourself a running back. RJ Harvey, solid year, but he's not it.
Hmm.
And we know how it is with Dobbins. He's just so freaking injury prone,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Great player, but
Mhm.
very injury prone. And you just need to either draft one, maybe look into free agency and see what you can get.
Yeah, no. Matt Collins, I saw him. It was a great entrance. I got
Mhm.
frustrated a few times during the game, but then I sort of was like, okay, I'm gonna let you do what you do because I think there was one of the first times I saw like I was watching the game because we watched the whole game, but you
Mhm.
could see him like they were huddling and he was just in the huddle just like dancing all fun. I was like, this is not taking it serious. But then he had that big play, I think it was on a third down. I was like, okay, do what you
Yeah.
got to do because you got it done.
Yeah.
But that when I saw that, I was like, dude, you're just not taking it serious. But that's just him. He's just that
Yeah.
way, walking barefoot into whatever weather. The Warriors thing, yeah, kudos to him, and yeah, like I said, kudos to the Patriots. I think Broncos. It's not the last time we'll see them in the playoffs. I think we'll see them for a few years to come. With Bo Nix.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest takes from Patriots Broncos.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think that about wraps it. Definitely playoff football weather.
Hmm.
Love
Yeah,
it. And it's so weird. Denver weather just changes on a dime.
yeah,
It's amazing. But one thing with those Midwest storms, hope everybody's safe. If anybody's watching in the Midwest,
yeah.
East Coast, obviously we're in Cali. We're unaffected here, but those negative
Hmm.
temperatures, like they've canceled, I think, several sporting events
Yeah.
today.
Hmm.
I think there's I think Chicago is colder than Antarctica
That's
over
what
the
I heard.
weekend. So outrageous. Hope everybody's safe. But
Hmm.
again, great football weather at that Broncos game. Great,
Yeah.
good game, competitive.
Good, yeah, good competitive game. Next game, our Sunday afternoon night game, Seahawks versus Ram. Seahawks winning 31-27. Great game, close game,
Yep.
shootout. Defenses showed up a bit. Offenses showed up as we thought that the offense was going to show up. I think the one big question, or just sort of, if you're on the same boat, Cooper Cup's catch on what was it, second and third down, close to the end. I thought it was incomplete, but just based off what I've seen throughout the playoffs, I thought it was going to be called incomplete, but called completed and sort of won it for them because Rams didn't have a chance after that.
Yeah. No, it's we've seen it all playoffs. It's just like some of these catch calls are just it's a ton of controversy. I agree with you. Very iffy late game calls.
Hmm.
It's just it's really it's
It's
tough.
yeah.
That's the easiest way I can put it. But again, I agree. Full control, ball came out like
Hmm.
it's so dicey. I, I don't know. The NFL, just a quick comment here, has done an incredible job at making it just incredibly tough to decipher what the hell a catch even is. Because when
Yeah.
we grew up and we played like elementary school, like, recess football,
Yeah.
everybody knew what the hell a catch was.
Yeah.
Why
It's
is it
simple.
so tough? Why is it so hard to
Yeah.
figure out? It is though.
Yeah.
Uh, and the playoffs prove it.
Yeah. No, it is. Like I say, if they would just have one play, one like rule to catch that they put for everything, and it was around the last few years, Cowboys would have won a Super Bowl by now after that Des Bryant catch. That wasn't called
Mhm.
a catch, which this year for some people it was a catch or in the
Mhm.
last few years and not just this year. So yeah, and NFL has to just figure it out, make it so simple and make it fair for everybody because like I say, there are some of these games it's really close. We could say our comments, our thoughts on it. We've heard other NFL players, other people have their thoughts and takes on it, but like I say, it takes away from the game because you give it to someone and you don't give it to another. It's unfair because like I say, Josh Allen, if it would have counted for Josh Allen because that one looked like a catch with Cooks, they probably would have won the game, and this would have been it would have still been in a snowstorm because, New England, it's a heavy snowstorm happening, on Sunday, but
Yep.
a whole different game. Same with Seahawk Rams. Um, or was it that game? with the Chicago or no?
Um,
Or was it Seahawks
mm,
game?
mm, mm.
Where was the other controversy? Bills,
Oh yeah, it was Bills Broncos, right? With
Bills
the
Broncos.
with the
Yeah.
catch, Ty goes like it was the Cook's catch, right?
The Cook
That we're talking
sketch.
about.
Yeah, well that one, but then there was the Cooper Cup one, but which was the other one that sort of counted that wasn't last week?
Oh, that one was it was the other game. Was it the New England game?
Was it the New England game? It could have been. I don't know, but like I say, it just hasn't been a consistent call. So, um, but yeah, that's NFL officiating. But going back to Seahawk Rams, great game. Sam Darnold showed up. Sam Darnold did what he did. Sam Darnold did what I would have hoped Brock Purdy could have done and shown up and not disappeared in the playoffs with what he had.
Mhm.
Um, Kenneth Walker, man, that guy is someone that I thought was gonna be a number two running back and sort of he destroyed the Rams a bit, man. He was just running them over. It was good, cool to see.
Yeah, he's had a really good like second half of the season into the playoffs. Like he has not let off the gas.
Hmm.
Their tandem, if they still had Charbonnet, like it's a great backfield.
Hmm.
Kenneth Walker had his fair share of injuries for sure.
Hmm.
Hadn't lived up to some of the hype, but man, this year altogether, he's been tremendous. He's
Yeah.
broken off tons of big runs. He's been super consistent. Proved it in this game. Jackson Smith Nahigba, dude, that guy is absolutely incredible. Rashid Shaheed, great mid-season trade.
Hmm.
Exactly what they needed. He's, lightning in a bottle. He's good for that one electric play he had it to start off the game with that
Hmm.
51-yard catch. And he's just a great return special teams guy.
Yeah.
And we saw that against the Niners, right? Was he the one who returned it? I forget who it was.
Hmm.
I think it was him that did.
Yeah.
Just freaking bolted against us. Yeah, and then on the Rams side, really good season. Devontae Adams, man, he can't make it all the way through to the big game. Tremendous career. He's going to be a Hall of
Hmm.
Famer. Had a great game. Puka, likewise, he just torches Seattle, which is incredible because
Yeah.
Seattle's defense is incredible. But yeah, he's torched them all year. Um, what's his face? There was a 7 minute uh blunder for Rick Woolen on Seattle. I don't know if you saw that, where
Oh yeah.
he had a dropped interception, then a taunting penalty, then
Hmm.
got burned on a touchdown right after.
Yeah. Ugly.
Yeah, kind of an ugly sequence. Almost blew it, but they held it together. The rest of the defense stepped up. Question: do you think this is it for Stafford? A lot of speculation on that.
Um, I don't think so. I think the way the season ended, not knowing how great the team was gonna be. Because like I said, I think if we would have talked beginning of the season, I don't think we would have had the Rams as good as they were.
Mhm.
Cooper Cup leaving, ever since Donald left, that team hasn't been they've been great on defense, but hasn't been the same dominance. Um, but I think what they did was good. This last year, I think they're gonna bring him back for 1 year, but I think they're probably gonna sign some rookie quarterback you know, or draft a rookie quarterback or sign someone who has potential and have him be under Stafford for a year and then bring him up because I think with this coaching staff of McVay, um, the Rams are here to stay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Stafford, 37 is old. He's going to be 38 starting next year.
Mhm.
Players have played longer.
Yeah.
He's been banged up his whole career. That
Hmm.
dude, all of those Lions hits he took when he
Yeah.
played there was crazy to look at. Tough as nails. I think he sticks around another year. I
Hmm.
agree with you. I think, yeah, you look at somebody in the draft, and then, kind of develop a year behind Stafford, learn from him. But it's really tough to turn away and retire after getting this close to another Super Bowl. And then having the year he did, finishing first in yards, first in almost passing for 50 touchdowns, less than
Hmm.
10 interceptions. It's that's, I mean, God, you're playing like you're in your prime. It's going to be
Hmm.
really tough to step away and not continue, especially when you have a coach like McVay.
Yeah.
I think he's convinced to probably play another, if I had to
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I think he'll play another year, and depending on how the year goes, it's sort of going to dictate if he'll stay after that or he hangs it up after this year. Because, like I said, I
Mhm.
think Devontae Adams wants to give it another shot with the Rams because he saw what they could have if they draft pretty well and even do some great free agent signings to booster that defense and even that offense a little bit, get some more support, with the wide receivers.
Mhm.
It's a team to sort of be scared of. So, like I say, I think they're still here for a while. Um, both Stafford and Devontae Adams, another year with this team, and we'll see. Because, like I say, Puka's still young,
Yeah,
but.
he is.
And like I said, I think you have to take advantage of this last year of Puka because after this year, you got to pay Puka. So,
Yeah,
get get some youngster that could sort of develop under Stafford, not have to pay him the high amount you have to pay your QBs. Keep Puka. You have a team to mess with for the next 4 or 5 years.
for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe McVay stays coaching if that's the
Yeah,
case too.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then Sam Darnold, I guess, yeah, I mean, he proved me wrong. I haven't thought all that. I think he's great in the regular season. Um, Played a great game.
yeah,
So props to him. Um, yeah, no,
yeah,
it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. Really don't want Seattle to win at Levi's and be able to finish those cigars. Hope they're in the
yeah.
trash.
Mhm.
Um,
But yeah, but we'll do a early quick thoughts. We'll do quick thoughts. We'll go more in depth next week, the week Super Bowl week.
Perfect.
Patriots Seahawks as of right now. I haven't looked at the spreads yet, just because I think Seahawks are favored right now. Last I saw, -3.5, so they're the favorites to win. Um, it's gonna be a very close game. And it's gonna depend on New England to win. And New England to be able to carve this defense is what's gonna help them win the game. And also, I think what the defense has to do, they have to put pressure on Sam Darnold. I think when Sam Darnold has pressure, it's where he struggles. I think it's sort of like the Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had the pressure, couldn't get it out, couldn't just get himself regulated, and just struggled. I think that's what it's going to take for the Patriots to beat the Seahawks. If they don't do that, they give Darnold the time. JSN gonna torch you. Cooper Cup isn't the same Cooper Cup, but he has Super Bowl experience. He's cut out for this type of situation, so um, it's gonna be a close game. But I'm not gonna pick until next week.
Got it. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it's I'll save a lot of the details on my end too for next week, but I think you're exactly right. You got to pressure Darnold. You got to kind of figure out, I guess what to do with the running game, bring the same pressure, and then how to contain and take JSN out of the game altogether. It's going to be tremendously hard to do, of course, but
Hmm.
I think the Pats are very well equipped to do that, better than most teams could. And then got to see a lot more passing from Drake May to kind of
Hmm.
keep up with, uh, just keep kind of continuing to put points up on the scoreboard. But it's going to be a great game.
Hmm.
Seattle -4.5 now.
Okay.
So they upped
Well,
it one. Over under 45.5 for the score. Going to be a fun one. Excited for the halftime show.
yeah.
Bad Bunny's going to be great.
Bad Bunny.
Going to be good ambiance. Hope the weather's pretty good. It's been nice here this
Yeah.
past week, so hopefully we get much of the same as we head into Super Bowl week.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I think weather-wise, it'll be a good game up there in San Fran. Good. I saw practice stadiums. Nobody's practicing at the stadium at Levi's.
Smart.
Everybody's practicing. I think
Yeah.
it's one's in San Jose, one's I think at Cal. So
Oh,
uh, I think because of
very
what
nice.
they've heard, I think it might be Cal. I might be totally off, but I know one's in San Jose State.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, I was like, oh, nobody's practicing on Levi's. I'm like those electrical
It's
fields.
available. Yeah.
So wait.
Seattle, if you guys want to practice there, just kidding. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah, no, funny thing is, Lynch said that he acknowledged it. They are going to do some more testing of
Yeah.
the area with other equipment, and I don't know, it sounds like they're going to look more into it. So that's nice. Figure it out because I think anybody can agree that there is some anomalies there. Um, but yeah, no, and the Bay Area altogether, there's going to be quite a few concerts going on,
Hmm.
live shows, DJs, broadcasts. I think Dan Patrick is setting up close to AT&T, or I guess Oracle Stadium now, by the Giants. Um, there's going to be, I think, part of my take's going to be out here somewhere. There's going to be
Hmm.
quite a few studios, so fun environment. Love it
Yeah.
that it's coming to the Bay. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. So yeah, good, fun environment. NFL talk, Lamar take from last week that I had. Seems like it's gaining some traction. I hear a lot of other people saying Raiders
Mhm.
could be the one team to sort of move that first round pick. I've heard others say, a first round and Crosby for Lamar Jackson. Yes, please. I will do it in a heartbeat if I was the Ravens. Um,
Oh yeah.
but we'll see because like I say, the the one thing Raiders have is they have money. Like
Yeah.
I think they have the highest cap space. So there's a lot of free agents coming out. If you hire a great head coach, have a good quarterback, you could make a lot of moves in the offseason. And like I
Hmm.
say, I know there's been some comments saying that the Raiders are still a few years out. Yes, the way the team is set up right now, they're not in contention. Should they draft Fernando Mendoza? No, probably not because he will not be successful with this current team. But a veteran like Lamar who knows the game, knows the NFL, and then has people that trust him and know his play, they could do a lot better. So, like I say, I wouldn't be surprised. The only team that would make a crazy move like this would be the Raiders. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's gonna be if they end up doing a trade like that, it certainly will come off as crazy.
Hmm.
No matter who you're trading for. Lamar, quite frankly, and I've thought a lot about this, this take of yours this
Hmm.
past week of like, you know, what makes more sense for both teams? I think the trade makes a ton of sense for somebody like the Ravens to do. You have a new, you're going to have
Hmm.
a new coach head in there. It could be seen as like a small rebuild, but a rebuild to an extent where you have elements, that are set in place and ready for somebody
Hmm.
like Mendoza versus what the Raiders have. And again, like you mentioned, it's going to take somebody with talent that's already there. They know the NFL, they know the system to
Hmm.
go in there kind of figure it out and then build around that person. And again, you mentioned it, they have money. There's going to be, I think, like wide receivers like Mike Evans are going to be available
Hmm.
this offseason. Go out and get a guy like that with that money. Go
Hmm.
out and solidify your defense, make Max Crosby happy, or trade Max Crosby and maybe get in some O lineman help in return, get high draft picks for him.
Hmm.
Like, maybe he's going to be part of a Ravens trade. God knows,
Hmm.
maybe you can add something more from the Ravens as
Hmm.
part of that trade.
Yeah.
There's a ton of things you can do. You still have Ashton Genty, you still have Brock Bowers. There's a lot to build on that offensive end. Start with your O line, go from
Hmm.
there, make something of it. But I think that makes more sense at this point in time than
Hmm.
drafting Mendoza. But I think Raiders fans would call us crazy. I see, I see where they're coming from. I think that they feel like they would rather build something around Mendoza
Hmm.
and, have, draft O linemen and build them up together. And
Yeah.
I can see that aspect too. It's just really what they want to do and kind of go from there. I think Mendoza could have a very good career. I think he's intelligent. I think he's, seems like a tremendous leader and a team
Hmm.
player. Um, so those are great aspects to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, optimally, you'd like to have more around him.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the draft order. Like I say, I think the Raiders should switch with the Jets. Raiders would ask for the Jets second and their what's the other draft one they got? They have the 16th. So two first rounders for that first. Because the Jets are quarterback needy. I think they would pull the trigger to number three with Arizona. I think that's another team that would move up for
Hmm.
Mendoza. So getting a number three and probably a second rounder would do it. Tennessee has someone. New York, they got Dart. The Browns, they go for another two quarterbacks this year, you think?
Dude, I was that was actually going to be my second take for you, John.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think that we're going to hit on it right now. Nobody even seems to want that head coaching job. Like many people
Yeah.
have backed away from it. It's like they're playing a game of who wants this job, and
Hmm.
nobody does. Everybody's going everywhere else. Like Harbaugh declined, Minter declined. Like those are just two off the top of my head. I'm
Hmm.
sure there's a ton of others I'm not even mentioning.
Well,
It's
the McDaniels declined and went to an OC job.
McDaniels.
I think
Yep,
I think I heard the Jaguars DC declined and re-signed with the Jags as
that's
well.
yep, 100%. I guess
Yeah.
they're down to four candidates, and like from what they could have had and what they've interviewed, it's just like god awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, do they stick with Shadir? He's a Pro Bowler.
He's a Pro
It's
Bowler.
he's a Pro Bowler. Judkins, had he have not gotten so brutally injured, unfortunately, was had a phenomenal rookie season, in my opinion, behind a terrible O line. Um, of course you have Miles Garrett. Like there could be aspects there, but just nobody wants to go, and the division's tough. Um, I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
I have no idea. O line, I guess,
Yeah.
and then build around Shadir at this point.
Hmm.
Trade Dylan Gabriel would be smart. Let Dylan Gabriel get a shot somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, what the Browns are doing, I don't know. Like if they make us an offer, I think we just take it just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
I know to be one and done it, and I think we probably could do a lot of great stuff in Cleveland. We'll make it believe land again, but yeah,
we'll make a dog pound.
yeah,
They
but they
go with
got
the dog pound sooner.
they got two first rounds. I think Raiders would be interested because that's a 6 and a 24. But
Oh
looking
yeah.
at this. Here's one outrageous one. The Rams, they have the 13th pick
Huh.
and the 29th. Throw
Wow.
throw in an O line, someone for the first round, get Mendoza a year under Stafford.
Mm. Nobody's talking about that right now. Hmm.
I would do it if I was the Rams. That's your future right there. With Puka, Kyron,
Do they have anything going in the second? I guess we can't see that yet, huh?
let me see. The Rams or yeah, no
Yeah.
select nothing has been shown yet.
Okay. Yeah, the 13th. Man, if you could finagle your way into like try to talk them in saying like, oh, Max Crosby's not happy there, and
Yeah.
then try to get Crosby as an addition to your D line
Hmm.
as well. That's a lot to ask for. Raiders fans are going to kill us. But yeah, let alone, man, both of those picks, like the Raiders could
Hmm.
utilize them. Like you said, get an O lineman.
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you think the Rams would ever trade somebody like Landman?
Maybe.
He's really good. But
Well, but like I say, you might have to consider it for Fernando Mendoza, who could be, I've heard comps that he might not be like one of the best, but he's gonna be a great quarterback that could take your team to a lot of Super Bowls if you have the right system around him.
mhm.
And McVay, his coaching, that team, Puka, I could see it. I can
Hmm.
see that. I didn't think about it till now. And like I say, lucky that the Falcons played well towards the end of the season because that was the Falcons pick. Imagine Falcons would have lost out. That would have been a top five pick, I think they were heading trending to.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Man, yeah. No, that was their parting gift,
Yeah,
the coaching stuff there. Um,
that'd be crazy.
yeah, just a little
If
gift to
the
him.
if
That
the
would have been
Ram
crazy.
if the Rams could pull that off. I didn't think about
Man,
it till now that I'm looking at them having two first rounders and
yeah, you might be onto something there for sure. Because I mean, do you think do you think the Raiders would be more inclined to do a trade with a team like LA because they're in the NFC in comparison to it? I mean, it's hard to
AFC.
think of the Jets as a
Yeah.
threat, but being in the AFC because the Jets have that second and a 16th.
hmm
Um, a little bit juicier, but
Yeah.
like again, Garrett Wilson as an add-on.
Yeah. Maybe.
But then at two, God, the QB scenario drops off dramatically.
Yeah.
What's the free agent market looking like for QBs right now, even?
Yeah.
Like, is there anybody?
Yeah.
Mac
Yeah. There.
Jones?
Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying. It has to be like something game moving, and like I say, they probably wouldn't do anything QB wise at two, maybe 16. But like I said, that I don't think the Jets would give up the 16 and the two just because if they do it, the Jet fans are gonna go crazy
Hmm.
over it, you know.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. Stop giving
and,
the Rams ideas though, John, please.
yeah. Well, the other one I was gonna give an idea. Cowboys 12 and 20.
Oh,
Move Dax. Get out of that ridiculous contract that we thought.
yeah.
People are saying Dax needs his Matthew Stafford time. He needs to move and finally be able to be productive. And this could be it.
Yeah. Yeah. DeMarcus Lawrence says it perfectly when his quote was brought back up this past week with him heading into the Super Bowl saying
Yeah.
his home is Dallas, but he could never win there.
Yeah.
And I think that could be the same for Dak,
Yeah.
Um, Dak to the Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Dak isn't that bad.
Huh?
Like he can put up stats wise, like good numbers. He has a lot of heart.
Yeah.
He can be a good leader. Um, Yeah, I could see that. Could also
Yeah.
see a lot of Cowboy Mendoza jerseys. It'd be a very hot ticket
Oh
item.
yeah.
Um, but I'm sure Cowboys fans would love that because I'm sure they'd like to move on from Dak.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that they're kind of fed up with the stagnancy of what they're dealing with. And Mendoza, I think he's very sought after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to pry the Raiders off of it. Yeah. But again, it's the Raiders. Like you said, it's the Raiders. What are they gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, money wise, they got money to develop, but if they could get a nice haul, if they like people, further back in the draft, and they could get, like I say, the one I like, and I never thought about it, and if it happens, I need credit firsthand here. We broke it here first. The Rams pull this off. That's the biggest fleece in the world. Rams are gonna have to give up more than just probably those two first rounders because it's late. I think they got to give up one or two players. Um,
Yeah,
but man, like I said, Mendoza 1 year under Stafford, learn from him. He'll be ready year two, and once Stafford retires, like that's his team, and that team's here for 10, 15 years.
he'd be great to learn from. Obviously.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I think Mendoza would. I feel like he would happily take a position like that in order to develop
Mhm.
who he is and get ready for a long career versus being propped into a team that has no O-line. He's going to get destroyed all year.
Mhm.
Nobody wants that. It's going to be everybody fears the David Carr scenario.
Yeah.
With the Texans. And
Yeah.
he could have been such a great quarterback, but I just feel like it was so terrorized by that lack of
Mhm.
a line support in with the
Yeah.
Texans. Um, Yeah, man, there's some possibilities. Again, Cowboys make sense moving up to get that. If I were a Cowboy fan, I'd be pretty thrilled. Rams make sense, but yeah, what will pry them away from that first overall pick? It's going to be the question mark.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I think we spent more time on this topic than I was expecting, but we'll
Yeah,
see what
I
happens.
say,
Like I said, you heard a lot of stuff here first. I haven't heard any of those thoughts that we just threw out at all before
mm,
today.
yeah, no, absolutely. I'm seeing people. I have been seeing some stuff. The Chiefs seem to think that they're going to get Jeremiah Love at 9. I think the Saints get him before that, personally,
Yeah,
or Titans. I think there's teams that would draft him before that. I think Jeremiah Love is worth it. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to see him. I like Jeremiah Love. I don't want to see
I
him be a
I
Chief.
I've seen some that the Chiefs take an O line, and I'm like,
Oh,
why are you guys taking an O line when Jeremiah Love's there? Because
yeah,
I
that
think
makes
I've
no
seen
sense.
I think I've seen Jeremiah Love go to the Bengals in a few,
Whoa,
which would be good for them.
yeah,
But I think Saints pick him up. The Commanders will pick him up.
uh-huh.
Texans need a running back. Cardinals need a running back. And then Giants too. Scatterbo, Jeremiah Love combo in that
Oh my
offense.
gosh, can you imagine with
That'd be
Harbaugh?
that'd be insane. Like I said, there's
Yeah,
so much. I don't think he's gonna drop to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are just shit out of luck again.
yeah. Then they can get their own lineman
Yeah.
or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe
So,
some wide receivers.
so yeah, so we'll see. Like I say, playoffs are here, Super Bowl's here, and then we get the draft. We'll probably talk about the draft a lot more than even basketball before that. But we'll go on to our next sport that we talk about more than the NBA because NBA just sucks.
Yep.
Baseball. And like I say, baseball's in off season. They're not even in spring training, but some big news. I think this happened the day after our last recording. Mets trading for Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. Big move.
Oh yeah.
Uh, big move. Another money move. But this sort of goes along with our take. I think we discussed last year or last week. Sorry. Um, I don't know. I think we even talked about it last year. It's not Dodgers ruining baseball. It's not Mets ruining baseballs. Baseball. It's owners because Freddie Peralta, you have to pay the guy, just like Screwball. This is a sign that owners don't want to pay and they're ruining baseball.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a lack of spending problem for
Hmm.
everybody else. Uh, say what you want to be a Mets fan. I know it's brutal at times. It for years and years it's brutal. But at least every offseason they're involved in something blockbuster wise.
Hmm.
Last year it was Soto, this year Peralta. Um, they added the kid from Toronto. Sorry, his name's
But Bo Bichette.
going Bo Bichette. Yeah, I think Bo Bichette is actually going to play some third base if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken for them. He hit very well last year. So yeah, that's all it comes down to is it's a lack of spending problem. My Giants,
Hmm.
big issue with that. They don't spend, and it drives me absolutely insane as a fan. I just as I pull up off-season transactions, I see whoop-de-doo. We signed Harrison Bader, 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it's like these guys are out there. I think you mentioned Freddie Peralta heading into
Hmm.
the offseason as well. He's a big name out there,
Hmm.
going to be available. Yankees were kind of, I think, rumored a bit, right?
Hmm. I think
Dodgers,
Yankees.
you said he would be a good,
Oh yeah.
another addition wherever the hell they would fit him in there. But tremendous signing for the Mets. They've done all the right things.
Hmm.
Now the players just got to go get it done. The
Yeah.
Mets look like a very good team. They're going to be very
Yeah.
competitive.
Hmm.
But again, yeah, you're exactly right. Lack of spending. And yeah, it's going to drive me nuts if the Tigers do not go and sign Scooball because it just leaves the door open for the Dodgers to have a possible chance at doing this, and it pisses me
Hmm.
off. So please, Tigers, just give him what he's at. He's not asking for a lot. Just give it to him.
Yeah. And if it's not the
Crazy.
Tigers, it's going to be the Pirates with Skeens, and in a few years we'll go through this conversation again.
Stop it. You're right. I hate to say it, you're right. It's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy.
Yeah.
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 Um,
And then the other signing, I had it here because I saw it. Bader. I'm guessing you're just aware of it now. Initial reaction thoughts?
he's a bat. Um, Last year 17 bombs going to hit in a park like um Oracle, maybe around 10 to 13, I think this year for him. He he's an athletic outfielder. He's had a good career. He's been solid. But again, this is just like our standard
Mhm.
offseason, addition, kind of a middle of the line player. Uh, um, and just, he's going to have his moments, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's still not enough.
Mhm.
We needed to do so much more. I would have liked to have seen us been more competitive in the Pete Alonso market.
Mhm.
I would have loved us to see and go spend a few bucks on Freddie Peralta or, the Texas Rangers went all in on a guy like Mackenzie Gore.
Mhm.
At least they're trying. It just feels like the amount of signings that the Dodgers do, even in years that they really probably didn't even have to, they're still doing it. And it's like, dude, why? Why are we not doing anything? Um, I really hope Buster kind of starts working on some stuff. But again, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. He might be limited. Like I say, sometimes it's not all on the GMs, those people, because it's owners with the last say if they're willing to go out with the money. So, like I say, I think Bader for you guys, good outfielder, good support. It was a bit of a weakness, but probably doesn't move the needle too much for this season based off what the other teams have done. But like I say, I could see you guys maybe going a step above the Padres because the Padres have lost, Cease. I think Cease
Hmm.
went to Toronto, and I saw it, but I don't know if it's actually true or if it was just fake news. Darvish retire? You Darvish?
Did he?
I I I
I don't know if he
saw I
officially
saw
did.
I saw posts about it, but I don't know. No,
Could be
yeah,
a
but he's
gotcha thing.
contemplating. So,
He's hinted
but
at it.
yeah. So if he decides to retire, that's that's big for them. That's two starting pitchers that they're losing. And it's your guys' time to take over that number two spot in the division.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, behind the Dodgers, it'll feel like a number two, if you know what I mean. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the gap between Dodgers and the rest of the division is going to be outrageous,
Yeah.
especially with the Rockies being involved. That's
Yeah.
going to be insane.
Yeah.
Um, Even a guy like Kyle Schwarber, there was no done deal that he was going to return, to the Phillies, but they still got a deal done. Interesting name though with the Phillies, and I know he's pretty disgruntled with their
Mm-hmm.
front office, is Bryce Harper.
Hmm.
Come on, Buster, do something. He would be a good pairing with the bats that we have. Um, I don't know, send some prospects. It would suck to send Bryce Eldridge. I wouldn't want to do that. But like if we could ship somebody off, I don't
Yeah.
know. Think of somebody.
Yeah.
Just send
Yeah.
send our new coach. I don't
Har-
know.
Harper looks like he's cut out for Hollywood, though.
Shush. Just stop it. Yeah. He's from Vegas. He'll go to the Vegas A's.
Yeah, maybe, and that's a good way to just bring that
Yeah.
franchise with that young team. If the A's don't have to give up any of the youngsters, I think that's a good move for him, and that could be a dangerous move when they first open up that stadium.
Be pretty cool.
Hmm.
And then like, late in his career going into like a really cool bougie looking ballpark. I think
Yeah,
it could be pretty fun. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So we'll see. But yeah, that's a little bit of baseball news. Now we'll talk a little bit about NBA, but we're not even going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about some drama. And first one, Rich Paul drama. So over the past week, he's created a podcast with Max Kellerman, the Game Over podcast. But the
mhm.
drama is sort of going around that just how so there's two takes of drama. First one, Clutch Sports influencing themselves into the Laker organization, sort of making decisions, sort of being that head piece in the Lakers. But the other one is where he was openly talking about the idea of trading Austin Reeves to Memphis for Jaren Jackson. Um, so that's the other piece. And Matt Barnes came out, and sort of talked about it on his podcast. Matt Barnes is a retired NBA player. Uh, Rich Paul, active NBA sports agent. But Matt Barnes, like I say, gave Rich Paul his flowers because yeah, kudos to Rich Paul for what he's done to get from the bottom up. But the one thing he sort of said is like what Rich Paul's talking about sort of messes with the locker room because like I said, you're talking about trading one of your big players in LA for another player, and that locker room talk after that's just going to be negative. It's going to bring people down. It's just not a good look. So, a lot of people are saying, Rich Paul just needs to be quiet, shouldn't really be saying stuff. Um, but it's just the drama that's been around the Lakers organization since LeBron showed up in LA.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's that added piece to LeBron's career at this point where, he's kind of a bit of a distraction on the court and then just, his group altogether being paired with, a guy like Rich Paul, who's, a very commanding figure
Hmm.
in the NBA, but not having any real official part of any team in particular, just his agency altogether. And, it's almost like he's spilling the details of like secretive conversations he could be having with LeBron because it's
Hmm.
like, these speculative trades, if he felt like he shouldn't say something because he knows this is going to come back to LeBron,
Hmm.
LeBron would tell him stop.
Yeah.
But, maybe this is a trade that they've possibly talked about on the side. Maybe LeBron has nothing to do with it altogether, and this is just Rich Paul speaking his mind.
Hmm.
But it seems like it's just such an outlandish kind of deal to try to make. A
Hmm.
lot of it doesn't make sense. Like to trade Reeves with how well he's been playing, it's
Hmm.
like, dude, you're going to need a lot more than what he's suggesting with Jackson, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's Jackson, phenomenal player. I wanted him for my Warriors. I talked
Hmm.
about that a couple months ago,
Yeah.
but it's just he's a piece to that team that it's like, dude, like I just don't see it happening.
Hmm.
Like make use some draft picks or you know trade some of your younger talent to go get some of these guys instead. Why does it always have to be Austin Reeves? And a lot of people are kind of pushing towards that point of it seems like he references Austin Reeves as a trade bait a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's definitely garnering
Mm.
attention. Um, as you brought this up.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's one comment LeBron James saying that, Rich Paul's opinions are not a direct reflection of him. I call cap on that because Rich Paul doesn't do anything without LeBron James's say so. Like I say,
Mhm.
Rich Paul without LeBron James, there would be no clutch sport. Like I say, it's LeBron James. Clutch sports, when you think of clutch sports, it's LeBron James run. Rich Paul's the face behind it because LeBron can't be because he's NBA. That could be tampering. That could be many things. But
Mhm.
LeBron James saying that whatever Rich Paul says are his opinions and not a direct reflection on him. I think that's cap. I don't believe that. He's saying that to try to not make it seem bad, but like I say, clutch what they've done to this Laker organization. They reference that they brought a championship back to LA, but let's remember the Mickey Mouse trophy that they got. We're always going to call it that for every single sport. People call it for the Dodgers still, but hey, we've won two after that, so we're okay. Lakers haven't even been close since that little run they had in the bubble. Um, and you sort of mentioned pre our recording, Jeannie Buss's relationship with LeBron James and some of the quotes, she has
Mhm.
come out to sort of say that it's all fake, people bringing LeBron James into the family drama isn't fair to him. But I honestly think there's some truth to it because, like I say, LeBron James, the way he is now, I think he's let his ego and just feeling like he's the best at the NBA, which he has been. It's just sort of causing organizations to crumble, and I think
Right.
that's what he's done with the Lakers.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we can see it visually. Like a lot of this isn't just behind the scenes. We can
Mhm.
see JJ Redick's frustration with it a lot of
Yeah.
times this season alone. Like it seems like he has zero command over
Hmm.
LeBron. And that plays a factor, and maybe quite frankly, Jeannie Buss probably felt the same way as an owner of a franchise, that she felt like she had zero command over the team when you have, LeBron present. Now, LeBron, to an extent of course, kind of deserves a lot of say, at a certain point of his career in what needed to
Hmm.
be around him to be successful. And I think that's very prominent with any star athlete,
Hmm.
where, they're considered in certain types of trades, even though I did just read that the Warriors have not really worked with Curry on trades he's advocated for. So that's disappointing to hear. Hopefully it's not true. But again, it's just like what they kind of command with their stardom,
Hmm.
and how well they play. But I think the big picture is like LeBron at this point in his career, I don't think championships and any more rings are really on his mind at this point. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think I don't really know how to even sum up the season for him in a way. Like, is he there because he gets to play with his son a little bit? Is he there? Like, are we going to see a farewell tour? Are we going to
Hmm.
brush over any possibility of that? It's just kind of odd. It seems a little out of place at
Hmm.
times, but I think the focus of the Lakers needs to be on Luka.
Hmm.
He's I don't know if we even want to consider this his prime yet, which is crazy to
Yeah.
say. I'm sure he's in it, but it's going to be a large window. But again, like that's who you build around. And I think that's,
Hmm.
the smartest thing Rich Paul said out of that clip
Oh yeah.
is that it's Luka's team and you want to build around Luka for the future.
Hmm.
But it's like, how do you trade a guy like AR,
Hmm.
and say you want to build around him?
Hmm.
AR is one of the top players in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like, keep him.
Yeah. I think the one trade Rich Paul should have said is LeBron James for Jaren Jackson. I think that would have been a lot
Hey,
better.
it would have made more sense.
Would have made a lot more sense
Yeah,
with
a
what
lot
they
more in their
need.
career to build off of. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree. But I agree. I think that there is a ton of truth to those Genie Bus rumors.
Hmm.
And a lot of it just has to do with, what we both mentioned,
Yeah.
with the leverage he has, what LeBron and Rich Paul have.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like I say, Laker fans, tell us, well, if you could go back in time, like I say, if you had the DeLorean, you could go back in time and stop this trade from happening. Would you have signed LeBron James or would you have gone a different route? Because I feel like I honestly think there are quite a few Laker fans that are probably like, I would not want this headache. Like the 2020 bubble championship, yeah, it's great, it's an NBA championship, but with what's happened after that, I think they're probably like, we could have done different things. Everything they gave up, because they gave up a lot of players. Brandon Ingram played pretty well,
Hmm.
Lonzo, he's just been injury riddle. Another what if, what if he would
Yep.
have stayed healthy? But like I say, there's a lot of players that they gave up to for LeBron and everything he wanted, and they're doing great in other places. So it's that big what
Mhm.
if we didn't sign LeBron and went a different route? What could we have been or done? Could have been totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Hart, another one to mention. He was,
Hmm.
I mean, look at him now with the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to that, those Laker teams, but there's few franchises that you just can't really picture them being non-relevant, and the Lakers are certainly one of them.
Hmm.
I think you think of other teams in other sports like the Cowboys because of their popularity.
Hmm.
Yeah, they can have losing records, but I feel like that they end up around 500 even though
Hmm.
in those bad seasons just to, they remain relevant.
Yeah.
Yankees, Dodgers, now there's teams in different sports you can kind of depict that way. And the Lakers are certainly like that. So it's like that franchise, are you willing to sacrifice a few seasons of terrible basketball
Hmm.
and skip out on LeBron in order to maybe build a bigger
Hmm.
legacy down the line with, and avoiding some of this drama, or kind of, I don't know, I don't know if you want to call it like a scar or like
Hmm.
these small abrasions on
Hmm.
the franchise that kind of have turned it away. It's certainly different than when, Mr. Bus owned it.
Yeah. I think the answers would have been yes, because I think you would have had to take the time machine back a little bit and never hire Rob Pelinka. I think that's where the mistake happened. Because
Yeah.
once Kobe retired, and everything changed, and it was Rob Pelinka, that's where I think a lot of it went downhill. That's where he couldn't do what he needed to do. That's why Magic Johnson also left and left Rob Pelinka by himself. Because Magic Johnson's like, this isn't ever going to get great with Pelinka here. So I think that's where it starts. Because I think if you would have done something different than Rob Pelinka, you wouldn't have needed LeBron. You could have gone 2 to 3 years, because they survived and they still sold out so many games as a Laker franchise, because people come to LA, and if you go see the Lakers, you go see the Lakers because it's the
Hmm.
Lakers. It's just a team name that you'll never see it pretty empty. You won't see them like the Clipper stadiums when they were bad. Lakers, when they're bad, it's still a packed house. So I think you could have, but I think that they were struggling so much, and like I say, I think it's a Rob Pelinka thing, and then getting LeBron James. It's sort of just been a sour eye for some Laker fans. But like I said, that's just me talking. Laker fans could probably say otherwise, that they're happy with everything and they wouldn't switch it. And if that's the case, that's the case.
Yeah, it's a good point with Palinka. I feel like Palinka is a guy that has kind of benefited from the environment in which he's working within.
Yeah.
It's he was truly gifted Luka, obscene trade.
Mm-hmm.
And, likewise could be said about LeBron. LeBron
Mm-hmm.
decided to go there, like the history behind the Lakers, and you're in LA Hollywood. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have a young family,
Yep.
many different avenues you can go down. LA's the perfect place to be. It makes sense. And that's the leverage that the Lakers have over the Clippers, even though the Clippers are, on their way to getting more and more of it with their new stadium. But yeah, it's all it comes down to is that
Yeah.
with Pelinka. That's a good point with him.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with the Lakers. Uh, I think LeBron, because you sort of touched on it, like what's LeBron doing this year? I think this year he's playing with his son, and I think because of all the negativity, it's sort of I like we said with Derrick Rose, Kobe, he lets it get in his head, so it's messing with him this year. But I think
Hmm.
after this year, I think next year, his last year, he's gonna hope for a retirement tour. I think he'll get something, but I don't think it'll be as watched as it was like Kobe's. Like Kobe's last game,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever going to come up to that level. I don't think LeBron will, because honestly, I may not care much. I'm, I'm a Kobe fan. I remember when I was watching his last game, I was like, I gotta watch this game. I gotta watch this Laker game. I don't care, even though I'm not a Laker fan. I was like, it's Kobe's
Hmm.
last game. And I was like, why are you watching? I was like, it's Kobe. And like I say,
Yeah, yeah.
LeBron, I don't think is gonna move me that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was Kobe retired 2016, right? It's been 10
I think
years.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that night was, I think it's probably top five favorite sports nights of my entire life. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people could probably say the same. But like the Warriors, that season was their season that they won 73 games and set the
Hmm.
record, I believe. And, on top of that, to coincide that historical season with watching the performance that Kobe had,
Hmm.
what was it, 60 points, right?
Yeah.
Over 60 points. It's incredible. Like
Yeah.
what a night, and that's why, I feel like you and I reference like, man, I wish there was a time porter to go back to like what the NBA was with
Yeah.
Kobe present,
Hmm.
because it's not what it was,
No,
and it's a
it's
bummer.
yeah, we're
But
not even close to it.
I agree with you. That incredible night. I've never cheered so hard for another team as I did for Kobe that night.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm cheering
Uh,
for the Lakers right now, but ultimately
yeah.
it's you're cheering for Kobe. It
Yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah. Like I say, LeBron, kudos to LeBron. He's done a lot for this game, a lot for his legacy. But I just don't have this. He just hasn't reached me the same levels that Kobe has. So, like I said, I think next year is his last year. He'll have a retirement tour, but I think if you look at the ratings, it's not even going to get close to Kobe's ratings. So,
Yeah.
apologize, LeBron. That's my take. I might be wrong, but I stick with what I feel.
Yeah, and we've said it in the past, like we recognize the greatness that is LeBron
Hmm.
James. Like, don't get us wrong. One of a kind,
Yeah,
Hall of Famer. I think we both agree that he's not the best of all time, but
yeah.
he's incredible. But like I just think it's the team hopping as well. Like, we're seeing it in college sports a ton, and then, you coincide that with, you know, the big three.
Yeah.
He went back to Cleveland, won it there, and then now with the Lakers, like, Kobe did it all with one. Curry's all
Hmm.
done it with one,
Yeah.
Jordan did it all with one, except his Wizards years don't really count. That's different.
Yeah. He was owning a team and playing for it, so it's a little different.
Exactly. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
you. That's a good take.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then last NBA thing, short one we can sort of talk about. We'll see if it stays short. Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley complaining of not getting on TV as much with ESPN. We talked
Mm.
about it. I think it was one of our hot takes when we found out inside the NBA was going to go to ESPN, of how it was sort of going to ruin it. I think this is also was probably pushing people away from basketball. From what I've seen, they've only been on the show maybe a handful of times in the first few months, but since then they haven't been on there. Charles Barkley's complaining about it, about the schedule. Um, NBA or ESPN starting to ruin some sports content just in general.
It's so weird that ESPN went from making people who don't like sports watch sports back in the day
Yeah.
to make us all hate it
Yeah.
because of what they're doing. It's just I don't blame Charles Barkley. Like I'm glad he's fed up with it. I'm glad that he's not enjoying his time with ESPN. I think he was pretty outspoken about the exit from TNT. He didn't seem overly optimistic at all
Hmm.
about heading to ESPN because he knew, like, yeah, they're going to say it's the same. It won't be the same, same vibes.
Hmm.
And inside the NBA was quite frankly one of the last few great things about like
And
entertainment
yeah.
involving the NBA. Like the commentary of those four guys is incredible. And you know, I don't know if I've really even seen much of a clip of them at all this season, and we're almost halfway through.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, it's not good. And then weren't they supposed to bring Jordan on for some takes here and there?
I think so.
Where is that? I
I
don't think
don't
I've seen
think.
him once.
Yeah.
I know we
Mm,
talked about it briefly, last year that, he signed like a small deal to come on here and there. I've seen nothing about
yeah.
that. I saw more of him with Derrick Rose's, jersey retirement yesterday. Yeah, but I like that about Charles, and he
Yeah.
speaks his mind and let it be known. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Jordan's supposed to be doing NBC. Um,
Mm, okay.
but he's expected to appear in select pre-recorded segments. Um, so nothing regular studio analyzing, just pre-recorded segments. So it could be like him interviewing a player or something. He might be someone that like interviews LeBron James and him announcing his farewell tour next year, or like Steph Curry announcing retirement, something like that. Might be when they bring in Jordan for like the big buzz.
I love Mike. He's you know my second favorite player of all time. I can't see him asking another person questions.
No.
I can't see it. He'll
Yeah.
take the questions,
Yeah.
not answer them,
Uh,
but I don't see him
uh,
hosting an interview.
yeah. What he should do is he should do some like gambling takes or like gambling interviews, like playing poker, or doing the from his documentary, rolling the quarters, closest quarter to the wall with like some NBA players and just
Yeah.
having a conversation, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What cigars does he like?
Hmm.
What whiskey does he pair it with, or his
Yeah,
tequila?
yeah,
Or if he give, I've really enjoyed Tom Brady this season with his commentary.
hmm,
Like if we can get like a 10-minute clip of analysis of
hmm,
something out of a game,
yeah,
be cool. But
yeah,
yeah, him hosting an interview,
yeah. It's hard.
can't see
Yeah.
it.
But we'll see what happens inside the NBA, because like I said, I think this is fueling a lot of that fire that we talked about prior to this change for inside the NBA, and now it's sort of just showing because nobody's seen clips of them. They're not on there weekly the way they used to be, and Charles Barkley now coming out to sort of complain about it's gonna bring some more attention, so we'll see what changes. Because yeah,
Mhm.
they just came back from their Christmas break. They took a break after the Christmas games till now, so it's like a month off. Like before, they never would take a week off.
That's a
So
long break. I'm sure they liked it, but
yeah,
well, to an extent,
yeah,
Charles didn't, but
yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see. But that's NBA talk. Yeah, that's today's episode. Thank you to everybody listening and bantering with us as always. Your guys' support. We appreciate you guys, listening to us weekly on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, um, YouTube, and even Amazon Music. And as always, please hit that subscribe, follow button. We appreciate all the support. And like I said, hitting that subscribe, follow helps us, but also helps you to let you know when we drop our new clips, new takes, new episodes. Um, yeah,
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Please continue to let us know, agree, disagree, bantering. It's in the
hmm,
name. It's what we're here for. Appreciate, all you guys each and every week coming in, listening. It's awesome. We love doing this. And yeah, like I said earlier, hope everybody is staying warm
yeah,
across the states right now. And yeah, hope everybody enjoys their week ahead of sports. And thank you for a couple of commenters letting me know that I'm welcomed into Wolverhampton,
yes.
fan base. So
Ah,
much
awesome.
appreciated.
Thank you, everybody, and until next time, this is Banter on the Rocks.
Peace.